Sid fell off. Blackie! We gotta go back! Blackie, we gotta go back! Sid fell off!
Sid's okay.
Wait a minute. There's a bomb on that thing. If he runs into anything, it'll blow up. He doesn't even know it.
Donny and Marie Osmond, Under Fire and Goin' Coconuts, their new movie, which is probably the worst of the 5 new movies we're going to have on sneak previews today. 2 film critics talking about the latest movies. And this is Gene Siskel, the film critic of the Chicago Tribune, CBS Television News in Chicago.
And this is Roger Ebert, the Pulitzer Prize-winning film critic of the Chicago Sun-Times. Now, in addition to Goin' Coconuts, Roger and I will be reviewing some serious movies. And compared to that Donny and Marie picture, I guess anything seems serious, even Richard Burton's rotten new movie.
We'll also be reviewing Paul Simon's somewhat autobiographical new film, One Trick Pony.
Dolly Parton as the madam, leading her singing and dancing hookers in the best little whorehouse in Texas.
Love on the Rocks and Caveman, a new comedy starring Ringo, Starr, and Barbara Bach.
But first, Roger begins with a film that a lot of people have been eagerly awaiting, songwriter Neil Diamond's movie debut in The Jazz Singer.
I'm afraid they've been eagerly awaiting in vain, Gene. It's one of the Christmas season's worst movies for sure. This new Neil Diamond version of The Jazz Singer is a modern-day remake of the 1927 movie, which starred Al Jolson, was the first commercially successful talking picture. Well, what nobody seems to remember is that the 1927 movie was pretty bad. It was a hit because it had a new gimmick, sound. And I'm afraid this 1980 remake is so much worse, it might have benefited from the introduction of silence. The new movie stars popular singer Neil Diamond playing a third-generation New York Jewish cantor who wants to leave his father's synagogue and try to make it big in the Los Angeles music scene. Laurence Olivier plays his father.
Yes, you must come home with me now, before you forget everything you were ever born to be. Yes, sir! Stop! Come on!
Please, for once in your life, would you listen to me? I know what you believe. I've tried to live up to it, Pop. I swear I've tried to live up to it, but I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. Pop, I have things inside of me. I have to express them. I have my music. I have my life, my feelings. Maybe they come from God, too. I don't know. I do know I have to do it my own way.
Does finding your own way include leaving your wife?
What did she say to you?
She didn't have to say anything. You here, she there, 3 months. Man and wife, that's no good.
Pop, we're getting a divorce.
A divorce?
She wants it, too. It happens to people every day, Pop.
People, yes, but not a boy and girl who grew up together. Why? Yes, sir. Why?
Laurence Olivier is one of the great English-speaking actors. I wish he'd try an English accent again. One of the problems with that scene and with the whole movie is that Neil Diamond is too old to be going through an adolescent identity crisis. There's never a single moment when we can really believe the reality of his relationship with his father, his first wife, his girlfriend, or anybody. It's all been packed up from the original movie and unpacked in this one without much thought. And Neil Diamond is certainly not a good enough actor to sell us on the story. He never comes alive in this movie. He's so closed up in himself he can rarely even look the other actors in the eyes, always playing to their third shirt button. Look at this scene with Lucy Arnaz as the music agent he meets in Los Angeles.
If I don't get that call from Bubba, I'm going home.
Look, he'll call, and he'll get you that job, and I promise you I will get Eddie Gibbs to be there.
I don't know, it's getting late.
I know how to get you to stay. I'll give you my body. Hello? Hello again. I just offered you my body.
I heard.
Would you rather have a pizza?
He doesn't even know she's in the room. Some people might think it's worth going to see the jazz singer for Neil Diamond's songs and his concert scenes in the movie, but I'm sorry, I didn't even like the songs. They all sounded like variations of the same narcissistic complaint about the cruelty of the universe, the wonderful courage of Neil Diamond, groan, groan, bravery, bravery. What I did like about the movie was Lucy Arnaz as the California girl he falls in love with. Her performance is filled with energy and scenes of humor, and in this film, that really makes it stand out. On the whole, the jazz singer is a major disappointment. I hated Neil Diamond, but I loved Lucy.
Well, I agree with you up and down the line. And what Lucy Arnaz does that makes her so enjoyable is play a character. Neil Diamond does not play a character. Neil Diamond, a first-time actor, remains a first-time actor.
Last time.
And his next act, he hasn't done anything here. He's just played Neil Diamond. The part isn't written. He doesn't perform it. We don't believe this is some kid from New York struggling to make it big in Hollywood. We realize that what we're going to see is Neil Diamond walk through a movie and sing some big songs, and that's all there is to the part. Lucy Arnaz surprises me. She has a good movie future, I think, because she alone, better than Diamond, better than even Laurence Olivier, has enough confidence to be quiet, to play a role. She cares about this guy, and her eyes show it. Olivier's ham-handed in this film. Neil Diamond is too.
You know, what's funny, after they went to all this trouble to remake this 1927 movie, the story that had to be told again, they never told it again.
Yes.
It really is, as you say, just a Neil Diamond movie. There's one scene where he's the opening act for a stand-up comic. And he goes on stage. There must be 35 musicians out there. It's probably a $50,000 payroll just for 2 songs for his first billing in Los Angeles. You can't believe that.
No.
There's another scene where he goes on the road for 9 months as a country and western singer, a la Chris Christopherson. I guess that's just to put some country music into the movie. I don't know. It's always Neil Diamond. It's never the character. It's never the story.
Yes, and we always are aware that it's the music that is selling and determining the way the movie will look.
Right.
Well, let's get to something better.
Okay. Singer and songwriter Paul Simon plays a character who's maybe a little bit like himself or like some of his friends in a touching and low-key new movie called One Trick Pony. Now, Simon was, of course, half of the team of Simon and Garfunkel, one of the most popular musical groups of the late 60s. And in One Trick Pony, Simon plays a folk singer whose biggest hit was 12 years ago, an anti-war song that made his name a household word. Well, the star has been fading ever since. But all the same, he keeps his band together, he keeps on writing new songs, and he still spends half of his life performing on the road, working smaller and smaller clubs for less and less money.
He's a one-trick pony. One trick is all that horse can do. He does one trick only. It's the principal source of his revenue. And when he steps into the spotlight, you can feel the heat of his heart come rising through. See how he dances, see how he loops from side to side. See how he prances, the way his hooves just seem to glide. He's just a one-trick pony, that's all he is, but he turns that trick with pride. He makes it look so easy, it looks so clean. He moves like God's immaculate machine. He makes me think about all of these extra moves I make, and all this herky-jerky motion, and the bag of tricks it takes to get me through my working day. One-trick pony.
That song expresses the way Paul Simon's character feels in this movie. People persist in thinking he only knows one trick. They categorize him as an anti-war hero of the 60s. They don't want to listen to his new music. Meanwhile, back home in New York, his marriage is falling apart. His wife, who's divorcing him, wants him to quit touring and spend more time with his son. So He takes his little boy, and they head out to Central Park together.
It's a great day for baseball here at Yankee Stadium. The New York Yankees take on Boston Red Sox. On the mound for the Red Sox, their ace and fantastic starter, Dennis Eckersley. I'm Frank Messer, and I'm Phil Rizzuto. We'll be broadcasting the game today. We should be ready to begin right now. Eckersley has finished his warm-ups. First batter for the Yankees will be
Reggie Jackson.
Reggie Jackson, just entering second grade at the Little Red Schoolhouse down in Greenwich Village. Okay, Reggie digs in. Look at the concentration on him. Incredible. Here comes the pitch. Swung on and missed, strike one, and Eckersley is looking very sharp today. He's throwing smoke up there, throwing smoke. Ridge knocking some dirt off his spikes. Eckersley looks in, he takes a sign round, comes the left arm in, comes the pitch, and it's swung on and missed. Good swing, good swing. It was a very good swing. It was a miss, but it was a good swing. Looked like he's going for the bleachers, didn't it, Phil? It certainly did, Frank. He's almost up to fractions now, the Reg. Yep. That second grade class is moving at a fantastic pace. It's just amazing that a guy can learn fractions, completely finish his reading assignment, and still be in there on the last day of the pennant race. Well, it's just the kind of kid he is.
Scene kind of reminded me there of Kramer versus Kramer. One Trick Pony is an intelligent and a surprisingly effective movie. It's the story of one singer's painful attempts to succeed in a music business that's long ago left him behind. When he plays his old material, he's old-fashioned. When he plays his new material, he has to run interference past a gang of high-powered hotshots who are experts in marketing, packaging, programming, retailing. Everything except music. It's kind of nice the way his personal crossroads and the bitter social criticism in this movie both come together into one story.
I liked it an awful lot, too. It's a little bit stacked in favor of Paul Simon. He wrote the picture, and so all the other music other than the stuff he plays is pretty bad. And in the relationship with his wife, he comes off as sort of the good guy. But nevertheless, I think the film is exceedingly well-directed, and it is very touching, the relationship between him and his wife, who are splitting apart, and the little boy. As filmmakers get to be in their 30s or early 40s, they're making films about families, and it's refreshing to see that. I think we immediately respond to that kind of story.
No longer just have the kid on the road. Now it's the kid on the road, except he's a 38-year-old kid with a family back in New York. There's a lot of music in this film, and I liked all the music, and one thing I liked is that they follow in this film the story of one song that he's written, and he gets this manager who says, we can put you back in the top 40, kid. We're going to put you on AM radio where it's at. And, but they're going to have to give it a new arrangement. They're going to have saxophones and strings and take his original concept and totally change it to make it sound like every other song on the radio. That's interesting.
We learn how the music business can be manipulated a little bit, how songs are made. That's because the film is so well directed by a guy named Robert F. Young, who did a film called Short Eyes, a prison drama, a couple years ago. A fine director, apparently.
Good movie.
How can you screw up a movie version of a decent Broadway musical that stars two of the most likable performers on the American entertainment scene? That is the question posed by our next picture, The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, the story of a pesky TV reporter's battle to dismantle the Chicken Ranch, a legendary Texas brothel that Dolly Parton operates as the madam and Burt Reynolds defends as the local sheriff. Parton's defense of her place of business comes in the form of a song.
Well, howdy, boys. It's good to see you. Nice to meet you. Come on over here. I'd like you to meet my girls. It's just a little bitty peasant country place. Nothing much to see. No drinking allowed. We get a nice quiet crowd. Plain as it can be. It's just a really sweating old-time country place. Nothing too high tone. Just lots of goodwill and maybe one small thrill. But there's nothing dirty going on. It's just a little bitty pissant country place. Nothing much to see. No drinking allowed. We get a nice quiet crowd. Plain as it can be. It's just a really sweating old-time country place. Nothing too high tone. Just lots of goodwill and maybe one small thrill. Just lots of goodwill and maybe one small thrill. Just lots of goodwill and maybe one small thrill. But there's nothing dirty going on. Nothing dirty going on.
She's right in a way. We don't ever see anything dirty going on in this movie. In fact, the only slightly dirty fun comes in the film's only delightful scene where Dolly buys Bert some skimpy black underwear. That scene is what is right with this movie. Unfortunately, it's one of the few scenes between these two actors that is any fun. Much more time is spent defending the chicken ranch, as in this scene where Sheriff Reynolds complains to the governor of Texas, Charles Durning, that the chicken ranch deserves to live.
Governor, I have Sheriff Dodd from Gilbert waiting outside to see you. He's been here since early this morning and is very insistent.
Swearing Sheriff Dodd, the one on TV? No. Hi, Sheriff. Just talking about you. How are you?
Governor, I know I'm way out of line coming up here like this, but before you close down the chicken ranch, I wanted you to know all the facts.
Well, I haven't made that decision yet.
Oh, good.
My aides are still working on that.
Well, the chicken ranch has been in my county since before I was born. Its doors have been open to soldiers and presidents and farmers, even governors who can remember what a great institution it is. I've known Miss Mona for 12 years. You're never going to meet a finer woman. She never refuses a charity. The whole town likes her. Hospital fund, new swimming pool, even the little leaguers. She bought them uniforms so they wouldn't have to play in their overalls.
Well, I wasn't aware of her civic generosity.
Those girls out there have never caused any trouble to anybody. They're healthy, tax-paying, law-abiding citizens who supply a demand and provide an economic asset to the community.
Whew. Yeah, Earl. You ever think about running for office? Huh? Why, I swear, you make that whorehouse sound like a damn non-profit recreational facility.
I'm sort of glad we picked those two scenes because, oddly enough, those two scenes sum up the movie. You didn't see Dolly and Bert together in either of those scenes, and they don't have much of a relationship in this film. Also, the songs aren't particularly memorable. Instead of what is really sticking out as I watch this picture, the foul language, occasional glimpses of nudity, some embarrassing barnyard humor. The best little whorehouse in Texas is sort of a disappointment.
I was disappointed. I loved Dolly Parton. I thought she was so great in 9 to 5.
I
She
agree.
had such exuberance and cheerfulness. Burt Reynolds is a great entertainer. Where were they when this movie was made? Their minds seemed to be 1,000 miles away. And as far as the filmmaking is concerned, the choreography we saw there was more like crowd control, get everybody to go up and down the steps at the same time. I can't remember a single one of the songs. We just heard one, and I still can't remember it.
Yeah.
This movie just misfires. It's just not the movie it should have been.
And I don't understand it. When I saw the play, and I thought it was kind of cute on Broadway. Then you hear this casting, and two of the most likable people you can imagine. I don't know what happened. I don't know why they didn't give more scenes of the two of them cutting up and having fun in the bedroom. Well, instead, I think they felt they were so obliged to defend this notion that they're going to make a movie about a whorehouse and the word whorehouse that the heart of the film, that their relationship just was forgotten.
The basic change between Broadway and the movie is that there is a relationship between the sheriff and the madam, and it's a love relationship between contemporaries. Right. So they make that change, and they don't give you the love relationship. Dolly and Bert have one big scene where they sit under the stars and talk about shooting stars, and how she wanted to be a ballerina. You know, I wanted to see him, you know, what's the line?
Kiss is one.
What's the line from On the Golden Pond, though? Sucked face, you know. There'd been a little more sucked face in this movie. That would have...
I think you mean kiss, right?
Fine, whatever.
Okay.
Donny and Marie Osmond are two of the most popular people on television, Barbie and Ken with a disco beat, and now they've made a movie of their very own. It's called Goin' Coconuts, and it's all about how Donny and Marie fly to Hawaii for a concert, and gosh, they get all involved in this mysterious plot that involves a stolen necklace and buried treasure and getting chased all around Honolulu by cars and boats and even on motorcycles.
Hey, slow it down, little sis. I want to see it all. Speed it up. Speed it up.
Did you make up your mind?
Marie, that guy driving the car next to us?
Yeah?
He's the burglar I chased.
No, speed it up!
Careful, Marie. Careful. Watch out. Watch out.
Jack's got away. Lousy piece of junk.
So our travel industry expert tells us that visitors to Hawaii will increase right here on the beach of Waikiki.
Hey, what you watching?
Donny and Marie Osmond.
Hi.
They're smiling like they're running for office. Goin' Coconuts is full of those kinds of chases and confusions and even singing. Look, for example, at this production number. It looks like Donny and Marie got trapped in a pineapple commercial.
I want to go back to my little grass shack in Hawaii. Want to be with all the connies and wahinis that I knew long ago. I can hear the guitars a-playing on the beach out, oh, now. And I can hear the Hawaiian saying, Mali'ini ohana.
Dark-eyed wahine, plenty pow.
Can hardly wait till my ship goes sailing in to Kona. A grand old place that's always fair to see. I'm just a little Hawaiian and a lonesome island kid. I wanna go back to my fish and squid. Oh, I'm going back to my shack in Kealakaku, Hawaii, where the huma huma nuka nuka apua go swimming by. Where the huma huma nuka nuka apua go swimming by.
Aren't they cute, so to speak? I really loved his little hat there. He looks like a banana farmer. Donny smiles all the time, and there are lots of jokes about his great teeth. Marie doesn't get to smile as much because, like always, they make her play a killjoy who's always trying to spoil Donny's fun. The movie's a gooey mess of dumb jokes and bad editing and worse direction. Then there were all those commercials. Gene, I counted 9 mentions for Western Airlines, 6 times for the Royal Hawaiian Hotel. The only thing they didn't get around to plugging were the coconuts.
Yeah, I didn't like it, too, and I don't know why she can't get equal time and have somebody...
Why didn't she get a boyfriend?
Exactly.
Right.
I suppose some people who are big Donny and Marie fans want to know whether they should go see it, even though we didn't like it. What do you say to that?
I would say no, because if they like the television show, this movie doesn't have the production values, it doesn't have the wit, it's not as much fun.
Yeah.
There must have been a better script in Hollywood than this one for their first
movie.
movie.
Sure, and we expect more from a movie where you're paying $3.50 to go see a picture. It doesn't add up to the TV show. Okay.
Let's do something completely different now. We move on to a movie that has nothing at all to do with the Renee film. It's called Caveman. It takes place about around 1 zillion years BC when men fought it out with dinosaurs and women wore skunk-skin bikinis. The human vocabulary at that time contained only about 15 words, and I think you're going to hear about half of them in this scene, where Ringo Starr makes saves Shelley Long from being eaten by a prehistoric dinosaur. That dinosaur is about the funniest thing in this movie, which wants to be to Caveman movies what Airplane was to Airport. Well, sometimes the parody succeeds, as when former Oakland Raider John Matusak, as the leader of one tribe, forgets to let go when he throws a rock off a cliff, and so he throws himself over the cliff along with the rock. But most of the time, Caveman isn't very good. It might seem funny to kids, but didn't seem funny to me. One thing, though, at least I did learn the Caveman's 15-word vocabulary while watching this film, and in conclusion, I would like to state, by speaking in their tongue and saying that this movie is basically caca.
Well, not all the time, for the reason that you mentioned. The dinosaur is terrific. But I have to agree with you that the people in this film and all the jokes involving just them are pretty stupid and got boring real quick. I just love the dinosaur. There's a special effects artist, very famous in the history of Hollywood, Ray Harryhausen. He's made a lot of films about animated stop-action animation, very tough to do. I thought this film is of that caliber, high-quality animation.
You know, what's strange, it's harder to get timing, obviously, on special effects like that dinosaur, which isn't really there, in a sense, than it is for actors to provide it, and yet, strangely enough, the dinosaur's timing in this movie is funnier, his double takes, his tongue coming out of his mouth and so forth, than the timing of the human actors.
But let's be clear about it. I think we're both saying very clearly that the film is wildly uneven. Great dinosaur, dumb people.
Speaking of great animals, Gene, here's Spot the Wonder Dog leaping into the balcony to sniff out the dogs of the week, the week's worst movies.
Right. My dog this week is an overwrought skin flick that has the gall to say in its ads, if you like Deep Throat and Singing in the Rain, you're going to love Blonde Ambition. Well, I love Singing in the Rain and so on Deep Throat, but I thought Blonde Ambition was a crashing bore, even though it tries to be some kind of sex extravaganza, with Blonde Ambition telling the story of two showgirls out in the Old West who get to be big hits on Broadway. The essential problem with all skin flicks is what to do between the sex scenes, and Blonde Ambition hasn't solved it, giving us one terrible old joke after another, which leads me to ask a couple of questions I've always wondered about with sex films. Why do people who make them believe that their audiences are stupid people, and they give us these stupid old vaudeville jokes? And if they believe that, aren't they showing their own contempt for the kind of film that they are making?
I think they didn't even think the people watching this movie would catch on that everyone in the Old West in this film has an Australian accent. Did you notice that?
Yeah, living in Newton John and Company.
Speaking from down under. And my dog of the week this week the award doesn't go to a movie, Gene, it goes to a Hollywood studio. I'm giving Universal Pictures the Dog of the Week award because of their decision to withdraw a movie named Barbarosa from release before it ever had a chance to really prove itself. The movie was directed by Fred Shepsey, the Australian filmmaker who made a brilliant film called The Chant of Jimmy Blacksmith. And the movie stars Gary Busey, remember him from the Buddy Holly story, who won an Oscar nomination, and Willie Nelson, the country outlaw, is a legendary Western outlaw. So there's one of my favorite directors, two of my favorite actors, and what's more, Gene, I've read about this movie in a review by you. You gave it a good review in the Chicago Tribune.
Yeah, I thought it was terrific, but you know, I had to drive 50 miles to Michigan City, Indiana, to see this in an indoor theater. They had thrown it away in just a half a dozen drive-ins.
Well, anyway, I was at the Cannes Film Festival when it played here. When I asked for a chance to see the movie so we could review it on sneak previews, Universal's response was that the movie had been pulled out of release and put on the shelf, said the movie wasn't making it. I say, give this movie a chance. Could it possibly be that somebody at Universal, an executive, didn't want to see the movie succeed once they reached an executive decision that it wasn't going to make it? I think that's really too bad. And I say, if Universal wants me to withdraw my Dog of the Week award, show me this movie.
Okay, well, I hope they do, and I think you'd really enjoy it. It's terrific.
And so much for the dogs. Now let's take another look at the main movies on this program. The Jazz Singer stars Neil Diamond in the story of a middle-aged musician's adolescent crisis. Both Gene and I thought it was ridiculous and unbelievable, except for Lucy Arnaiz's good performance, so we both vote no. We cannot recommend you see The Jazz Singer.
Roger and I both liked One Trick Pony, the Paul Simon musical drama. It had some lively comments on marriage and the music business. 2 yeses for One Trick Pony. We were back in agreement, though, on The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, the disappointing musical with Burt Reynolds and Dolly Parton. Not much of a relationship between them in this picture, just a lot of vulgar hee-haw jokes. As for the Osmonds movie debut, well, sorry, Donny and Marie, we think you need a more mature script, maybe something written by a 10-year-old. We give a resounding no to Goin' Coconuts. And finally, Neither one of us can recommend Caveman, the parody of prehistoric adventure films. We love the dinosaur more than the humans, but we both say no, too many dumb gags.
And that's it for this show. Next on Sneak Previews, we have probably 5 of the biggest movies we ever had on a single show, including Barbra Streisand and Ryan O'Neal in the main event.
Union City with rock star Deborah Harry in a 1940s-style thriller. The Wiz, the black musical version of The Wizard of Oz, starring Diana Ross as Dorothy. And 9 to 5 with Lily Tomlin, Dolly Parton, and Jane Fonda as secretaries out to get their boss. All that next week. Until then, we'll see you at the movies.
Funding for Sneak Previews was provided by this station and by other public television stations.